Hi everyone, and welcome to today's video where we're going to be looking at my Google off-campus interview experience, and I'm going to be giving you guys some ideas about how to approach these interviews at these FANG companies and how to make sure that you land those offers that you've always dreamed about. A bit about myself. My name is Atreya and I started my career at Deloitte as a business technology analyst where I worked in the data visualization domain for quite a few months. After that, I landed two off-campus interview opportunities at Microsoft and Amazon. I end up cracking both of those interviews and getting those both offers. I decided at that point to go ahead with Microsoft because I wanted to pursue mobile development, and I had a great time at Microsoft for a couple of years, investing in the iOS domain mainly. And then after that, quite recently, I interviewed with both Google and Meta and ended up cracking both of those companies. And I decided to go ahead with the Google offer, and I'm currently working at Google as a software engineer. So let's look at this off-campus interview process at Google and my experience. Here, the first step is resume shortlisting. I know that all of us kind of dread this step because we keep applying, we keep trying, and we don't get any reply from the recruiters, from the companies, and we think that, okay, what's going wrong? So I would have three suggestions here. I'll give you three suggestions. One thing is make sure that the job that you're applying for and your experience, they both align. If the job requires 3 years of experience, you need to have at least 3 years of experience. Make sure that the requirements for the job align your experience. Second, if you know someone working in the company, reach out for referral. If you have certain family, friends, or colleagues, reach out to them. Otherwise, connect with people on LinkedIn. Tell them that this is the job ID you're trying to apply for. This is my resume. This is why I need a referral. So just try to apply with a referral because a lot of people apply and a referral does help. Third, unfortunately, there's no shortcut. You need to keep applying over and over again, and you cannot lose confidence here. I even documented this in my LinkedIn post that I mentioned some time ago, and I'll link that in the description here below if you want to read it. It takes quite some time if you're trying off campus for you to land that opportunity. You cannot lose hope. You need to keep trying. It might take a few months as well, right? But if you keep trying, you make your resume better, have it in a good structure, keep it formatted, then you keep applying with referrals, you keep trying over and over again, and there will come a stage where you will land the interview there. Now, the next stage is the phone screen. Now, this is a happy stage where the recruiter calls you and tells you that, you know what, your resume has been shortlisted. When do you want to keep the phone screen? Now, people I've seen, they do some mistake here. Some people, what they do is they try to interview immediately after they receive the invitation for interviewing. Some people, they postpone it to way too late. Now, both are wrong because if you interview way too late, right, what happens is in your mind you have this complacency that happens that, okay, you know what, I'm complacent now, there's a lot of time to prepare, let's postpone, and it gets too late then. If you interview immediately, then you don't even have some time to prepare. So take appropriate amount of time according to your current level of preparation. That's what I would suggest. This round, the phone screen at Google, is also known as the elimination round. Why the elimination round? It is because in this round, right, if you do badly in this round, you have a cool down period that kicks in and you cannot interview at Google again for the next 6 months. So it's imperative that you perform really well in this phone screen round. If you're like me and you have less than equal to 3 years of experience, this round is mostly DSA based where they're going to be looking at your coding quality. The main goal is on a problem that you haven't seen before, how well are you able to find out the logic? Can you collect those logical building blocks together to get the optimal solution? What is your thinking process is what they would kind of test here. And this is a 45-minute round. After this, you get an invitation. If you do well here, you get an invitation to the on-site rounds. Now, I think if I remember correctly, before the pandemic, this used to be in person, but right now these are all mostly virtual, where you have to share your screen and have to do it through a video conferencing tool. So on-site rounds, again, I'm talking about my experience. So I had less than equal to 3 years of experience. I had a couple of on-site rounds that were DSA based, where I was asked questions that I haven't seen before, medium level questions there, where I had to again express my ideas in a clear manner, communicate really well, and then come up to the optimal solution, like the brute force optimal solution, and the whole, pipeline of coming to the optimal solution there. Now, these rounds were also just 45 minutes, and the interviewers were all really good and really helpful there at that point. And yeah, I was supposed to solve, I think, around 2 to 3 questions in 45 minutes. And mostly, I think you would be asked medium level questions. But if they ask you a hard question, I think the interviewers, there's a misconception that the interviewers kind of are against you or anything. I don't think anything of that is true. I think the interviewer also wants you to succeed and you want yourself to succeed. So I think be open to the hints that the interviewer gives you, especially if you think that the problem is hard, right? So be open to change. If the interviewer tells you that you're going the wrong direction, then think about other approaches there rather than being stubborn. Now, moving forward, if you have 5 to 6 years of experience, you would also have system design rounds, right? So those system design rounds where you're supposed to build the entire architecture of a system, discuss about the trade-offs, the complexity and everything. But if you have less than equal to 3 years of experience or 4 years of experience, I don't think you'll have these system design rounds. You might have a different round called a domain specific round. Now, what is a domain specific round is, if you have a lot of experience in one particular domain, you might have a non-DSA based round as well in your on-site. So you'll have two, on-site rounds based on DSA. After that, maybe your third or fourth on-site round might be based on your domain that you worked on. In my case, it was a iOS domain specific round. For you guys, maybe it's a front end round, maybe it's a back end round, or maybe it's again a DSA round. It mainly depends. Right? Your recruiter will let you know what this round is. But in some cases, you might have a domain specific round. This is completely non-DSA based. This is based on your expertise. So just to summarize, you have the phone screen elimination round. Once you do well there, you get invited to the on-sites. You have 2 to 3 DSA based rounds where you have to solve 2 to 3 questions in 45 minutes and communicate clearly. And it'll be questions that you haven't seen before, but they won't be super hard or like you cannot solve it or anything. If you do practice, definitely you'll be able to solve them. After that, you might have a domain specific round. After this, you might have something called the Googliness round. So I'm telling you the different rounds that exist. In your case, it might be in any order possible, right? I'm not saying the order is exactly 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm just saying these are different types of rounds that you'll have. You might even have the Googliness round at the starting, right? It's their wish. Now in the Googliness round, what happens is it is kind of a HR round or a leadership round where they're going to test how well will you respond to scenarios, or you need to follow the STAR approach there, right? Situation, task, action, and result. So in a very clear manner, try to communicate what would you do in that situation. If they ask you a question, do not say anything negative. Properly kind of prepare, take some examples, just Google them, just look at YouTube. I think Jeff Sipes channel is a really good source there. I can link it in the description if you want to tackle these behavioral rounds at Google, right? I really found that channel really helpful. So use the STAR framework. Try to present the answer in a very structured format. This was the task that I faced. This is the situation. This is the action that I performed. And because of the action that I performed, this is the result that I obtained. So be very quantitative in that sense. After all these on-site rounds are done, this 4 or 5 on-site rounds, then that's it. The interviewing process is kind of done right now, and you'll be waiting for the result. Sometimes it takes some time for the recruiter to come back with you with the result. When they come back, they're going to tell you, hey, you cleared the bar or you didn't clear the bar for the on-sites. Now, once you cleared the bar, right? Once you cleared the bar, then what happens? It's amazing. Like you pass all the interviews, and I think the interview results are valid for 1 year, if I remember correctly. Again, these things might change with time, but I'm just telling you, according to my experience, what I think is right. Then you go to the next stage called the team matching stage. So what happens in the team matching stage is, okay, great, you cleared all the interviews, congratulations. Now you need to be placed in a team, right? So Google has a very nice process where you need to decide which team you'll join. So your recruiter arranges meetings with you with the managers of the respective teams, right? And they come and they talk to you, and if you like the team and the manager likes you, if it's a mutual fit, right, then you can decide that, okay, I want to join this team. So I really like that about their process there. So it's very transparent. So team matching happens there where it's you'll have it's not like a very strict round as such. It's more like a communication with your to be manager, whether you're aligning on the work that you're going to do, whether you're passionate about the team and those things and such there, right? So that is the team matching. Now after this, there is the hiring committee that you don't have much control over that. So hiring committee, I think, is the one that makes the decision whether you need to be given the offer or not. After all this, I think all your interview feedback, right, that up to this point, all your interview feedback, the team you're going to join, all of this gets collected, it gets sent to the committee, and they decide how much is the compensation, whether you should be given this offer or not, whether they will suggest extra interviews. Maybe if you didn't get very strong feedback in all the rounds, maybe they can even suggest, hey, I want one more round to get the signals from this candidate, right? Maybe take one more round there. So all of those decisions, I think, the hiring committee takes then. So this is all the process, and then after this you'll get the offer released. Once you sign it, you can join the company. So this process, right, it is very similar for most of the FANG companies, but specifically there are some nuances that change across companies. Now Google has this it's called Googliness Round or HR or leadership round. Now Amazon has it based on its leadership principles, and Amazon has a separate round called Bar Raiser. Meta has their own version of it. So based on different companies, certain slight changes do happen, but the overall process remains the same. So in the future videos in this series, I want to cover my interview experience at Meta, Amazon, and Microsoft so that you guys are aware about what to do. Main thing to note, as I put here in the screen as well, right? What to think about in an interview is you need to show a drive or passion to learn. If someone's interviewing you, right, they need to think that, okay, if I have this person in my team, he or she will be an asset to the team. You have the curiosity and the passion and the drive to learn and achieve things. Second, I would say communicate really well. That is very, very important. You need to communicate, because in the day-to-day working of a team, right, you need to communicate in the scrums, you need to communicate otherwise. You need to communicate with the client, stakeholders, and all these things. So communicate your ideas very clearly. Even though you might not do DSA in your real day-to-day life, right, in those DSA rounds that you're going into, or your low-level design rounds or your system design rounds, communicate really well. Listen, and also when you're speaking, speak very clearly. Next is, of course, this is very common, you need to have subject knowledge. You're not able to, like, unless you have studied and prepared DSA, you would not be able to solve a new problem, right? So prepare well, and I would say it doesn't take years and years to prepare. A few months are more than enough to prepare DSA completely, to the point where you'll know the different patterns, because there are a fixed number of patterns to practice, right? So don't spend like years and years to prepare. I've seen people prepare for years, so I wouldn't suggest that. A few months should be good enough to prepare. Have very good subject knowledge, so that if a new problem comes, you can use the knowledge that you have gained in order to solve the problem in an optimal way, and have confidence in yourself. So that's mostly it. If you guys have any questions regarding my interview experience, how do I interview, when do I interview, and all of these things, just put it in the comments below, and I'll make sure to answer it immediately. And you feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn as well. And I posted about this recently on LinkedIn. I'll tag that post as well in the below, and the channels that I used for the behavioral interview. So all the best to you guys, and I hope you guys will do great. Thank you.